I'm Elizabeth Newsom and welcome to my booktube channel. So previously I did a video on reasons why you should read romance, and today I'm going to do reasons on why you should be a reader in general, specifically a fiction reader. I just think it's kind of tragic when someone doesn't like to read because there are so many good reasons to read. So if somehow a non-reader stumbles onto this video, I hope you'll be convinced to read after it. Reason number one is you have a bigger vocabulary. Because you read, you're more familiar with words that people don't always use in everyday conversation. Why is this important, you ask? Well, first of all, you can impress all your friends with your really big vocabulary. Just kidding, please don't do that. Second of all, it could help you on tests where it'd be handy to know big vocabulary words. And then the final reason for why you should have a bigger vocabulary, and this is my personal reason, is because knowing a word that means something specific that you're referring to kind of helps you understand what you're talking about or what you're thinking about better. Not sure if that made sense, but it's why I want to have a bigger vocabulary. Number two, bigger biceps. How do you get bigger biceps from being a reader, you may wonder? Well, just think about it. When you're reading a book, how many times do you have to pick that book up in one day? 3. And a book is quite a bit heavier than the typical objects you pick up, like forks and spoons and bowls. I don't know why I'm thinking of eating utensils. So essentially, you're doing curls every day, every time you pick up that book. Your biceps are getting stronger. Reason number 3 is better writing. Now this primarily applies to fiction writers, but it can also apply to those of us who have to do essays like students. By reading, we become better at storytelling and describing things and, as I said previously, a bigger vocabulary. And all of those things can be helpful, of course, in novel writing, but also in things like essays. For example, last school year I was doing a speech, and at the end of the year I ended up being the #1 speaker in that category. And essentially, all I really did was I crammed as many stories into there as I could. I believe I had about 4 personal stories. So just using this idea of storytelling and describing has really helped me in other areas, not just in novel writing, but also outside of it. Number 4 is escapism. Sometimes life stinks. There are people who are upset at you, or you're just doing boring schoolwork all day, and you kind of just want to get away for a while. This is where books come in. Nothing immerses you in another world and another story like a book. Now, movies and music are pretty cool too, but in general they only touch one of our senses. Like movies, that would be hearing and seeing, while music would be hearing. But since a book engages your imagination, it involves all 5 senses, and it's just a full immersion in this other world. And honestly, I don't really read for escapism anymore. I did kind of when I was younger, and I didn't have a life. So now I read more for other reasons, which I'll mention later. Number 5 is you can wear nerdy glasses, so you'll look smart and cute. Or you could just see a 3D movie and pop the lenses out like I did. Yeah, that's not a very good reason actually. Moving on, number 6 is that reading can give you new perspective and ideas. So when you read a book, you get to experience that author's worldview and their beliefs, and you're kind of living it through the character. And oftentimes, the character that we read about isn't someone that we'd have as a close friend or someone that's exactly like ourselves. Which means that through a book, we can experience drastically different perspectives than we would if we didn't read. Which leads me to reason number 7, which is developing your own beliefs. So of course, you're probably not going to be swayed by every single book and agree with every single author's opinion that you read. I mean, if you did, I think it'd be hard to have any of your own beliefs in the first place. But by looking at other people's worldviews and beliefs, you can kind of develop your own and think about issues that you never thought about. So regardless of whether or not you agree with the author's worldview, sometimes reading a book is just an opportunity to develop your own beliefs by making you think about an issue in the first place. Number 8 is it increases your capacity for empathy. So in Psychology Today, I actually found an article where it's talking about this lecture by Raymond Marr, a psychologist at York University in Canada. And it says, quote, in his lecture, Marr discussed how exposure to narrative fiction can improve theory of mind and someone's ability to understand what other people are thinking, feeling, and doing, end quote. So in short, it kind of just gives you a deeper understanding of other people. Number 9 is that it makes you smarter. So in that same Psychology Today article, it says, reading engages all 4 parts of your brain, and then reason number 10 is that it's an instant conversation starter. A lot of times when I'm engaged in a conversation with someone that I don't really know that well, I'm really happy if I can direct the conversation more towards reading and writing. And this isn't because it gives me an opportunity to talk about how much I read or how much I write, but both are topics that I know extensively enough that I can ask them tons of questions and keep the conversation going, at least for an hour, or at least give me some time to find some new questions and new topics to talk about. Like if you ask them if they like reading, you can go into favorite genres, favorite books, favorite authors, and then you can talk about each of those individually. And if they don't like reading, you can ask why they don't like reading or if they've ever liked reading or what they prefer to do instead. Well, those are all the reasons I can think of for why you should read. And if you're still not convinced, well, you're missing out. So if you guys like this little video, then please like and subscribe. And I'd like to know what your personal reasons are for reading. Let me know down below, and I will see you next time.